Yes, I'm chuckling again. Little Zoom ladies on the job. We're listening to the fifth dimension today, who I remember fondly from my younger days. Today's topic, for me anyway, don't know what you want to hear about, but I'm going to talk about what I call the radical rewrite, because I seem to have been doing a lot of it lately. For those of you who have been following on my blog, I completed a rewrite of Recovery Triptych, which I always, even with the first pass of it, I knew it was a dangerous story. Extreme violence, extreme brutality, because at that point in my life, that's what I knew most. And I was trying to work through it. And it was a difficult read. It was a difficult write. It was a difficult read, even at the time. So I took it out a few times. Most recently, I was able to extract the story from what I had written down, which called for a radical rewriting of it. The main theme is intact. Several of the story points are intact, but a lot of the scenes are gone. It was a radical rewrite. It went from something like 11,000 words down to 6,000 and something, maybe even closer to 550, 5,500. But a radical rewrite was necessary, excuse me, so that the story could find its way out. And that's important. That's what the radical rewrite is all about. I'm going to give you some other examples because I have them here handy. Empty sky. For those of you who have been following since day one of these experiments in writing, you may remember we started with empty sky. And the thing was, what did I have to change from the first version to the version that got published? The original version of Empty Sky is nowhere in the final version, except for the agents of the antagonist. The original version started at the Hotel Frontenac, excuse me, up in Quebec City, because I love the Frontenac, I love Quebec City. And in that original version, there were these dark, oily, slinky things crawling on the stonework of the Frontenac, trying to get inside to a gentleman. Those remained. They're in the final version, but only as agents of something else, of a deeper evil, if you will. And that was a really radical rewrite, because again, what was the story about? What was the core of the story about? And it took me a while from all these pieces that I had, because I had written a considerable amount, and I looked at them all, and I realized that even though there was a linearity, there was a flow, there were plot points, there was no thematic continuity to the story. So a radical rewrite, so the theme, the message, if you will, could find its way out. Radical rewrite. Added scenes, took out scenes, changed things, of course. Gave characters more depth, more breadth, made them more alive. Rather than two-dimensional walk-ons, they became actual players in the story. From what my readers tell me, it's a much better book. Yippee. Tag. Tag is a book. It started out as a short story a long time ago. They went through several revisions of a really bad short story entitled Tag, The Witch, The Apple. Because I wrote this short story about a pair of young adults, teenagers, uh, basically harassing a witch, and the witch curses them, or curses the female because she's the one who's unrelenting. And what happens is the witch curses an apple, the young girl eats it, and in the story originally formed, as she puts the apple down because something doesn't taste right about it, she thinks maybe there's a worm. The apple turns and it's the witch's face laughing at her. That core piece is now the probably first chapter, but not the actual short story, just key pieces of it. The short story itself, again, radically rewritten, is now called Blood Magic and was purchased by an anthology. So you see, never throw anything out. Just find out what it's supposed to be about. When I was rewriting Tag, because that was one of the short stories' names, I realized there was a lot more to the story. So I just gave myself free rein. What's supposed to happen here? And from the original story, I realized that I really had the outline for a novel, but I did not write a novel. Originally, I just wrote a short story. What happens in the novel? Well, what happens in the novel ends up being a medieval murder mystery set in medieval Eastern Europe, and has to do with the conflict of cultures that occurred there. Again, I'm told it's a phenomenal book. Yippee. I'm told the short story is also very good, but that's the point. And from this, I've actually developed a second novel. It's in the works, and a second short story. All because of the radical rewrite, because I gave myself the permission to realize that what I had originally done was not enough. So go and do it again, from scratch if you have to. What is in the original thing that you put down that was so good that you decided to put it down? Can you find it? Can you use it? Can you work it? What is there about that thing that was so good that didn't come out in what you originally wrote? Can you now have it come out? Good, go for it. The Inheritors, another one which started out as a short story called Uncle Tommy, which is now the first chapter in this. Someone said to me, they read that short story and they said, I think there's a lot more in here. And I reread the short story and went, yeah, actually there is, because what becomes of the character? It's left as a mystery. It was so open-ended. I think even when I wrote the short story, I said, yeah, there's a lot more coming out of this thing. However, the novel that came out of it is actually based on and contained in that opening chapter in that short story. So again, it wasn't a radical rewrite of the short story. I just rewrote the ending a little bit. But I recognized what I had failed to put in the short story, and now created a novel around it. Last chance, last time. Book of the Wounded Healers. My God, if you saw the original version of that, you would go blind. It was megalithic. It was also very monotonous. What I did with the original version was I was doing an awful lot of research at the time. So I basically wrapped each chapter's piece around something that I had studied because it was so important and valuable, and it's what spawned that chapter. Great, great. However, are those actually relevant to the story? No, no, they're not. A couple of versions later, I had winnowed a lot of that out, but now I discovered there were a lot of characters that I didn't need anymore. Okay, get rid of them. Does it hurt the story if they're gone? No, not really. Does it improve the story if they're gone? Yeah, quite a bit. Okay, radically rewrote the story. There are scenes in that original monolithic thing, that megalithic thing, which are still in this version, which is a good version. You should go get it and read it and leave great reviews. So there are scenes which are still in there. There's some new scenes which are in there. There's changes which were required because I wrote the original version a while ago. But the key thing to remember is there was something in that original piece which so spoke to me that I wanted to get it out. It was important that I get it out. What was it? Could I find it? Could I embrace it again and let it have its due? Let it be the story it needed to be for that message to be told? Evidently, from what readers are telling me, I could. Bravo. So allow yourself the freedom to do a radical rewrite. For me, a radical rewrite is a very frustrating thing to take on because, by God, I thought I finished that. And I do not like going back to things once I've finished them, which is an interesting thing to say from a person who loves to learn and learn new things and go back and relearn old stuff. But hey, sometimes we're just contrary. Give yourself the freedom to do a radical rewrite. Find the core of the story. Find what drove you to write the story. If the story that you've got is not doing justice, then write the story that does justice. You'll be better. You'll be happier. The story will be better. Knock yourselves out. Thank you. Looking for the buy button.